So in this session, the second session, we will continue our understanding of the various experiments conducted by different individuals, as a result of which the DNA, the molecule DNA, was realized as the molecule of was realized as the genetic material in living organisms. Now, in our previous session, we saw the experiment conducted by Griffith and the importance of the experiment, which was that one bacteria can transform another bacteria, and a certain kind of a molecule moves between these microorganisms and transforms the recipient bacteria. Now, Oswald Every, this is our second experiment, and this experiment was basically conducted by a team of these three individuals: Oswald Every, Colin MacLeod, and Maclean McCarty. Now, Oswald Every was also involved in the study of pneumonia, and he became specially interested in understanding the nature of the transforming principle. So, transforming principle, let us just recall, is the molecule that passed from the smooth virulent strain, the dead heat-killed smooth virulent strain, into the rough avirulent non-disease causing strain, turning it or transforming it into a virulent strain. So Oswald Every became interested in it, and these three individuals conducted a certain experiment. And what was the objective of the experiment? It was to determine the chemical nature of the transforming principle, what this transforming principle was, what this molecule was. And the experiment goes like this. So what these individuals did, they first of all cultivated this heat-killed virulent strain of bacteria. They took this particular bacteria, the heat-killed, so the heat-killed virulent strain, and we'll call the virulent strain as the SS, the smooth strain. So this is also virulent. They cultivated this. But once they cultivated this particular bacteria, they heat-killed this particular bacteria. So now this bacteria was cultured in large amounts, the disease-causing bacteria, and then it was heat-killed. Once they heat-killed this particular bacteria, they then exposed this bacterial culture to something called as homogenization, which is nothing but breakdown of these bacteria. So let us say we had a large number of these dead virulent bacteria killed by heat, and then when they were homogenized, now homogenization can be brought about by various means, chemical means or mechanical means, using ultrasound, etc., etc. So these bacteria were broken down. So once these particular bacterial culture, the dead content, was broken down, various molecules from the solution, various molecules in the solution were released. So we had proteins, and we had the DNA, and we had RNA, and we also had carbohydrates, and we also had lipids. So the five major classes of biomolecules were extracted in a suspension. Now all of these proteins, DNA and RNA and carbohydrates and lipids, were the components of smooth virulent strain, but heat killed, obviously. And now what these three gentlemen did, one by one, they used an enzymatic approach to determine which of these particular molecules was the transforming principle. So first of all, the entire content. So here we have the virulent filtrate. Let us call it the virulent filtrate. And this virulent filtrate is rich in all of these five major categories of molecules. So what they did, they took a little bit of it, a part of it, a portion of it, and added it to one of the tubes. So they divided this content into, let us say, 5 portions, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5 portions here, equal amounts in different test tubes. And to the first test tube, let me use another colored marker, let us use a blue. To the first test tube, they added an enzyme called RNase. Now RNase, this particular enzyme has the ability to break down all the RNA. So this enzyme, when added to the virulent filtrate, which contained all of these contents, when this enzyme was added, this RNase will deplete all the RNA. So here, this virulent filtrate present in the first tube, the virulent filtrate present in the first test tube has all the components. It has the proteins, it has DNA, it has carbohydrates and lipids, but it does not have RNA. It has no RNA because it has been digested. Similarly, in the second tube, they only added an enzyme called protease. So the proteases, what proteases do? These enzymes, proteases, they break down proteins. So once proteases were added to the second tube, all the proteins were basically broken down and made ineffective, dysfunctional. To the third tube, an enzyme called DNase was added, and DNases, they break down the DNA molecule and render them ineffective, dysfunctional. They will not function because the DNA has been broken down by the action of this enzyme. Similarly, to the fourth tube, they added lipase. I hope you understand what lipase does. This breaks down all the lipids. And the last tube, they added carbohydrases. They have just written carboases, but they added carbohydrases. The enzyme carbohydrases will break down all the carbohydrates. So we had now 5 tubes. 5 tubes were differentially treated with 5 different types of enzymes. And in the first tube, what do we have in the first tube? Let us have a look. We have proteins, we have the DNA, we have the RNA, and we have the, we don't have the RNA in the first tube. Okay, so what we have here, we have the proteins, we have the DNA, we've got the lipids, and we have got the carbohydrates in the first tube. In the second tube, what do we have? We don't have proteins. So we have got the DNA, we've got the lipids, we've got the carbohydrates, and we've got the, so we got 1, 2, 3, and we also have, other than that DNA, we also have the RNA here, right? So we have got the DNA, we got the lipids, we got the carbohydrates, we have the RNA in the second tube. In the third tube, post-digestion we are talking about, in the third tube, we've got the RNA, we've got the carbohydrates, we've got lipids, and we've got the proteins, but we don't have any DNA because the DNA has been digested. And likewise in the fourth, I hope now you can figure out, because there are no lipids, what are we left out with? We are left out with 2 types of nucleic acids, the RNA, the DNA, the carbohydrates, and the proteins. There are no lipids in it. And the fifth tube, we are only left out with the RNA, the DNA, the proteins, and the lipids. There are no carbohydrates. So now this is the condition of these 5 tubes after we have digested all the other contents. Now what we did, what these guys did, what the 3 individuals, gentlemen, did, they prepared a culture. They prepared 5 cultures, let us say, and these 5 cultures, culture media, they grew the rough strain of the bacteria. All of these 5, so we can see these 5 conical flasks, they added culture media to it, and they added the rough strain of bacteria. Now in these 5 flasks, we have the rough strain, the non-pathogenic rough strain. Let me just rub this part so that the content becomes a little clear. Now, and to the first, let us call it the conical flask A and B and C and D and E, and these conical flasks are identical because they contain the same kind of a bacteria, the R strain. And what they do is, in the first flask A, they add the digested content from tube 1. So what are they adding? They are adding proteins and DNA and lipids and carbohydrates. Now all of this content is going into the first flask, and then they incubate this first flask, you see. And when they incubate this particular first flask, they see, because it already has the R strain, if you look here, these all flasks already have the R strain. So after a certain period of time, a couple of hours, let us say maybe after 48 hours, this particular conical flask had the R strain, which originally was present in there, but now it also now contains the S strain. What does this mean? What does this first line of experiment tells us? It tells us that the transforming principle has successfully transformed the R strain. The R strain present in the conical flask has been successfully transformed into the S strain. Yes, a couple of them have been transformed, a lot of them have not been transformed. But now, because some of these R strain bacteria, Staphylococcus pneumoniae bacteria, have been converted into the smooth bacteria, we can conclude that the transforming principle is either a protein, either a DNA, either a lipid, either a carbohydrate but not RNA. You see, because we used RNAs. So what can we now rule out about the transforming principle? One of the molecules that do not essentially now does not absolutely belong to the category of transforming principle is RNA. So the first line of experiment has ruled out RNA as the transforming material. Let us look at the second line of experiment. Now again, they had the same conical flask, right, with the rough strain of bacteria in it, growing, proliferating very well inside it, and the content of tube number 2, which was exposed to the enzyme protease, all the proteins were digested, was exposed to B. And the end result, after again the same period of incubation, is the time for which the culture is set aside under certain temperature and other conditions for favorable growth. Again, let us say for 48 hours, the same amount of time. And at the end of this incubation period, again the smooth strain appeared. Originally the flask only had the rough strain, but now we again have the S strain along with the R strain. What does this mean? This tells us that transformation has also taken place in the second line of experiment. And this, what does this tell us? It tells us that the transforming principle can be a DNA, it can be a lipid, it can be a carbohydrate, okay, and it can be the RNA. It might be the RNA, but it is not the protein. So we've ruled out proteins as the contender. So certainly RNA is present in there, right? And you might get confused, okay, is RNA also the transforming principle again? No, it is not, because we've ruled out RNA as not being the transforming principle in the first line of experiment. In the second line of experiment, if we would have added RNAs, then again RNA would have been ruled out, right? So anyways, the second line of experiment tells us that protease or proteins are not the transforming principle. This is what we can conclude, because transformation has taken place. The bacteria, the rough, has been converted into the smooth strains here. They have been transformed. This means that what is missing here? Protein is missing here. In the absence of protein also transformation can take place. In the absence of protein. In the absence of RNA also transformation can take place. Now how many molecules are we left out with? We are only left out with 3 molecules, which is the DNA, which is the carbohydrate, and the lipid. Let us look at the third line of experiment. In the third line of experiment, the entire content, right, was exposed to DNAs and it digested the DNA, right? And after the digestion of DNA, we were left out with only 4 components. We had the RNA, carbohydrate, lipids, and proteins. And this content, this digested virulent filtrate, was added to the rough strain of the bacteria, the culture. And after the same incubation period, 48 hours, there was no smooth strain. There was no transformation. This means that whatever has been removed in this third line of experiment could be one of the contenders for transformation. And what does this indicate towards? It indicates towards the missing DNA. As DNA is missing here, there is no transformation. So we can get a hint that DNA could be the transforming principle. But let us complete the experiment. We still have 2 more molecules. What if there are 2 molecules involved in playing the role of the transforming principle? So in the 4th line of experiment, we added lipase. So lipids are missing in here. All the other 4 groups of molecules are present. Now when this particular virulent filtrate, which does not contain any lipid, is added to the culture media containing the rough strain of the pneumonia bacteria, Streptococcus pneumoniae, we can again see that the smooth strain has reappeared along with the rough strain. Some of these rough strains have been converted into the smooth strain. What does this mean? This means that absence of lipid again does not affect transformation. Lipids are not the transforming principle. So we got the third major molecule suspect of being the transforming principle has also been ruled out. So neither the RNA, neither the proteins, neither the lipids are the transforming principles. And now we are left out with only one major molecule, which is the carbohydrate. And in the fourth tube, the carbohydrates have been digested and we are only left out with RNA. We are only left out with the RNA molecule, DNA, protein and lipids. Any guesses? And let us see what happens. When you add this virulent filtrate into the culture of rough, non-virulent Streptococcus pneumoniae, then after the same amount of incubation period, see, all these conditions will remain the same or remain the same during that time. Again, the smooth strain reappeared. This meant that carbohydrates are also not involved in transforming the rough strain bacteria into the smooth strain bacteria. So what out of these 5 molecules was the transforming principle? Whatever is common, see, so let me just now rub it. So I hope a lot of this is clear to you, but let's just rub it and make it a little more neat, right? And see, so far we have eliminated that absence of RNA, still transformation takes place. Absence of protein, transformation still takes place. Absence of lipids, transformation still takes place. Absence of carbohydrates, transformation still takes place. But absence of DNA, no transformation takes place. So DNA turned out to be the contender, the transforming principle. Another way of looking at this experiment is what particular molecule is common to these 4, and you will find these 4, the molecule that brought transformation in these 4, the molecule that is common is DNA. DNA is present here, DNA is present in the second tube, DNA is present in the fourth tube, right where transformation took place, and DNA is present in the fifth tube. So DNA, as a result of this experiment, DNA was strongly indicated and basically proven as the transforming principle. So what was the implication of this experiment? The implication of this experiment is that the carrier of genetic information is certainly not the protein. It is not the protein. It is not the RNA. It is not the lipid. It is not the carbohydrate. But the carrier of genetic information turns out to be DNA. And this was a major breakthrough in understanding DNA as the molecule of heredity. In our next session, we'll look at the third amazing experiment, which eventually puts the final nail in the coffin and for sure proves that DNA is the genetic material and not proteins.